if need be, you know, which wouldn't be too much of a problem.
Would it,
I'm sorry. I don't know if it, I'm thinking of the place on 28, the ice cream place Daisy's, or
Dairy Maid, whatever.
you know, right on the,
Dandelions,
right
thank you.
right,
You know,
yeah.
they have it, I mean, they're not fenced in or anything like that, but I don't know if they have anybody there all the time, or what have you, to watch over the trees.
Well, it's
That's a
there's a
bigger
short cycle.
That's a bigger operation.
No, I
for
understand
profit.
that, no, I understand that. I guess I'm just, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. You know, basically, I'm just asking a question to try to visualize what it's gonna look like there, and what safety issues, if any, would be. I mean, I don't know how a tree shop works, whether they just leave the trees out all the time, you know.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. O'Leary.
Just a couple of questions. Chris, you've been in business there how long now?
Few years,
How many? A few
at
years.
least 60,
Yeah, a few years.
50 something.
I mean, years ago, there used to be a hardware store up front, and there's the home in the back. Now, where are you gonna set up the trees? Are you gonna set them behind the storefront structure, or right out front?
Well, actually, I'll have some in back and in front, you know.
But as far as parking, people are gonna, it's easy.
Yeah, we were leaving the center area for the parking,
Yeah.
you know. We weren't gonna advertise or anything crazy like that. I think just put a sign out with,
How many trees are you ordering?
we can order them within a week's notice, you know, so I was only gonna start off with 200,
Oh, okay.
and maybe
Yeah.
jump up to another, you know what I mean? I didn't wanna, you know, worst case scenario, I wanna make sure we get rid of them all, cause the owner's not gonna be happy, so, you know what I mean? Just, I figured we'll do it for a couple weeks, and if it works out good and people are blessed by it, then keep doing it, and if it's a hassle, then, you know, we'll probably just.
It's a nice thing you're doing.
And just, could you just explain again what the program that you're supporting is doing?
Yes, it's just an advance for children, Christian advance for children. You know, they go away, and it's pretty much like a Bible study for 3 days in Indianapolis. You know, and what Outreach Chapel does is they go into the community in really tough areas, you know, from Revere's and Malden and stuff like that, where people, you know, pretty needy and stuff like that, and they give these kids the opportunity.
So you're gonna start off with a couple hundred trees, which is not a huge amount.
Right.
The location is, I'm pretty familiar with it, so I mean, it can certainly handle some sort of traffic. You're looking at operating pretty much on the weekends, or if someone pulls in and is looking to buy a tree, you give them a tree, you sell them a tree. I don't see it as too much of a hassle, or even a hindrance towards any other business in town either, as far as undermining their efforts.
It's a very short-lived
Yeah,
Yeah,
business.
so
Several weeks
I'm in
and
full support of it.
season's over.
it's a no-brainer.
Any other questions?
It just is a comment. They've been in business there a long time, good members of the community, and it's a good thing you're doing.
Thank you.
A question of the town administrator. Mr. Valiakonis, are the police aware of this request, and do they have any issues concerning that location in terms of, what I'm hearing is they may be open after dark on the weekends in terms of being Main Street, egress to and from the location, cars pulling in and out? I don't know if there was any discussion with the police department
No,
concerning this.
the application, interestingly enough, didn't come in until Friday, so we didn't have an opportunity to get comments from the other departments. And if the board does approve, we would ask that it be incorporated within the motion, that it be subject to any recommendations put forth by municipal departments, which is usually the standard language that we have. And we would obviously have the police department take a look at this location.
So I have a question. If the police department come back and say they don't want to require a detail, say, from 5 PM to the time you close
The time
on the
close.
evening hours, just for safety reasons, is that something that you would do?
Well, yeah, if you guys need me to do that, you know, we can do that. I mean, if that was the case, I don't know how much the detail is and stuff, but obviously that would be a huge price tag.
Right.
Might cut the hours back, you know. That might be more realistic, is to cut the hours back as opposed to hire someone for $50 or so. But you know what I mean, that's also something that, if you guys think is a reasonable idea, then be more than happy to
It'd be
apply.
the police department, but I could see that being a potential issue. So,
Jeffrey?
Yes, the weekend hours, are you looking at 7 to 7 or something like that?
9 o'clock to 9 o'clock. But I mean, you know,
Okay, that's fine.
thank you.
Mr. O'Leary?
I'm not looking, and again, I don't, the location previously, in years past, it was a hardware store. So it had comings and goings, and I don't see the sale of a couple hundred trees as generating enough interest of business to warrant a police detail. So, again, as much as I'm sympathetic to it, I'm not going to necessarily agree to place a restriction on there that they, you know, are required to have a police detail to sell Christmas trees. It kind of defeats the purpose of what they're trying to do, and it's not like it's a big, major operation that they're proposing here. And I understand the concern, but it doesn't sound as though it's going to be a major operation with huge advertising and flashing neon lights. So I'd be concerned about issuing the license and then requiring them to, subject them to that sort of thing, which would defeat the whole purpose.
I'm sorry. Well,
Any other,
yeah. Your lighting, how is the lighting there? Because I guess, say, from 4:30 to 4 o'clock
Yeah.
on, the lighting would be an issue or be helpful. Will you have sufficient lighting?
Yeah, we do have, we have a bunch of spotlights lined up on the home itself, but also we're gonna run some lights going along the fences, you know, so it'd be
So
extremely
that
bright.
if you're driving down, would you on the south side? Yeah, you're on Joker's Wild, you'd be
On the Joker's Wild side.
The west side, okay. So, if you're going south and you're coming towards Joker's Wild, it should be pretty easy to pick you up with the lighting there.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna have it facing the street to blind people, but.
No,
you know.
no, I understand that, but it'll brighten up the area so that it would put less of a need for a detailed situation if the lighting is sufficient.
any other comments?
No, sir.
Hearing none. Mr. Prisco.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant a transit vendor license to Outreach Chapel, Inc. for the sale of Christmas trees at Labo Carpets, 208 Main Street between November 25th, 2010 and December 25th, 2010, subject to all regulatory department requirements.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Prisco, seconded by Mr. O'Leary. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Good luck.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is a public hearing and the setting of tax rate and tax classification. I'll read the notice of public hearing and then I'll open the public hearing. Notice of public hearing, tax rate setting and tax classification. The Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing in room 14 at Town Hall, 235 North Street on November 15, 2010 at 7:30 PM prior to making a policy recommendation regarding the tax rate for FY 2011, determining what ratio of tax burden will be borne by residential versus commercial industrial property for FY 2011, and determine if there will be a residential or commercial exemption. The Board of Selectmen will take both oral and written input from the public before voting on the above questions, and it's signed by myself, Chairman of the Board of Selectmen, North Reading. So, who is speaking on behalf of our Board of Assessors?
Hi. Same here.
For
Thank
those
you.
of you who don't know me, my name's Debbie Cole.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Debbie.
How are you?
Good.
These are just the classification handouts just to follow because
It's good to see you
they
again.
can be
Debbie, nice to meet you.
cumbersome.
Thank you.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah, thanks, Debbie.
Okay.
How are you? Thank you very much.
Sean, you want me to hold this out here so you can read it? Because I know you may have a hard time seeing this small print.
What's going on here?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just before we proceed any further and before any presentation is made, I'd like the record to show that I will not be participating in the discussion as a board member. I will not be taking action or voting on any matter or motion being presented before the board in relation to the tax classification hearing, as I have been advised by town council a few years ago, because I happen to have a family member who owns some commercial real estate, that there may be a potential conflict of interest, so that I will be actually removing myself from the board's table at this particular time, situating myself in the audience. I may choose and reserve the right to make comments as a resident, so I will be sitting over there for the tax classification hearing.
Thank you,
Goodbye.
Mr. O'Leary.
Please, let the record show. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
It's to you.
Yes. Last year, I recused myself, as it turns out mistakenly. I reviewed with the assessor's office to see what type of impact such a change in real estate tax would have on my property, and though I'm a sole proprietor at home. And in reviewing tax bills, I saw no distinction made that if you had a business there, that it had any impact on your taxes. So, and one way or the other, up or down. So based on the AG's, the Attorney General's office feedback that I've had, that I do not have a conflict of interest, that I thought I had last year, so I just thought I would clarify that.
Okay. Anyone else?
No
Figure
conflicts
if
here.
all the board has to recuse themselves, we
Anyone left?
No
It's
conflicts here.
just you, Bob.
I'll make the decision by
Unknown,
myself if
like
you
an
want.
allergy, an unknown.
Okay. I'm sorry. Please proceed.
Okay, at the classification hearing, it's held once a year, and the ad pretty much sums up what we're here to do tonight, and that is to determine a rate on property in North Reading, whether you're gonna maintain a single tax rate or whether you're gonna split the rate. We do have this packet in front of us, and before we go through the packet, I do, for those of you who don't know my board members, that's Sebastian Tyne, Chairman, Greg Smith, and myself, Debbie Carboni.
Anyone else? No?
All right, we'll go forward on the packet. And I do want to read some from here, and then I'll take questions. The information contained in this handout is intended to provide the Board of Selectmen with necessary information to conduct a public hearing and information session on classification options available under Massachusetts General Law. The classification amendment allows the board to consider several options that we'll explain further along in the handout. Additionally, the decision of the board for each of the options must be submitted to the state's Department of Revenue on the LA5. That goes along with the recap that's submitted. Selection of a minimum residential factor is your first decision. Selection of a discount for open space is your second. Granting of a residential and/or small commercial exemption is your third. We'll start off with the residential factor, and I'm just gonna explain that. The Board of Selectmen have the option of selecting a factor of 1, which in effect would adopt the single tax rate for all residential, commercial, industrial, and personal property classes, or shifting some of the tax burden off the residential class onto the CIP. CIP is commercial, industrial, and personal property. If a factor of 1 were to be adopted, the single tax rate for all classes right now estimated is $14.01. That is not certified yet. We still have to have it sent into Boston. The rate is determined by dividing the tax levy by the total value of taxable property, and then multiplying that result by 1,000. Right now, our levy is $34,916,23. Our value is $2,492,221,503, representing the estimated tax rate of $14.01.
Billion.
2 billion.
Billion.
$2 billion, sorry.
Just a question with respect to the levy. How much of that is calculated There's new growth that you